What is up guys, Dany from DK Tech back at it again with a new video, and today I'm building a new gaming PC, so without further ado, let's get into it. My old PC wasn't lowly spec'd whatsoever, with a 6700K and a GTX 1080, but in the end the system itself just had far too many issues for me to be able to overlook. First of all was the boot up speed. I was unable to transfer my OS to my SSD, so it was all stuck on my hard drive, and loading took a few minutes every time I turned the PC on, and it just became far too unbearable. Second of all, which for me was the biggest issue, was it was just far too loud for the amount of fans that I had and with the speeds that I had them running at. I had a total of 3 fans in the PC, 2 of which being on my AIO and were running at 1000 RPM, and 1 Corsair AF fan in the back with a custom fan curve. And when playing any game or doing any task to push the CPU over past 50 to 60% load, it turned the PC into a jet, and I wasn't even able to hear my game or listen to a YouTube video or anything at all. And crashing constantly was also an issue, even in games that it should be able to run, such as Apex Legends and The Division, and not even the second Division, the original one from 2016. So after seeing a few good deals line up, I decided that it was time to pull the trigger and upgrade. For the CPU, I got an i5 9400F for $160. Then I picked up 16GB of Corsair Vengeance LPX for $94. For my main SSD, I'm using a 512GB Adata SX6000 Pro that was $78. As an exhaust fan, I picked up the Scythe Pro 800 RPM for $11. To cool my i5, I picked up the FSP Wooddale 6 for $47. And all those parts are being held by the Asus ROG Strix B360i Gaming that I picked up for $128. And all my parts are being powered by the Seasonic 550 Focus Plus Gold that I was able to get for $84. And finally, for my GPU, I picked up the Zotac Gaming RTX 2080 for $700.
Yondo music.
So right now I just have kind of everything hastily put together, so we're just gonna boot it up and see if it posts, and hopefully it does. Nice, we got lights going right now. Looks good so far. Hopefully in a few seconds we'll get the boot logo. Yes! Alright, looks good, everything's identified, 16 gigs of RAM, doesn't look like it's the right speed, but I should be able to fix all that in the BIOS. My mouse isn't connected, I didn't think of that. Alright, so we're in the BIOS. Right now the RAM isn't running at full speed, which is a little weird, but we should be able to just overclock that. I didn't plug any drives in from the start because right now I only have the M.2 SSD. So I'll be loading a new copy of Windows 10 Pro in, but looks like the CPU is right. At least all of the RAM is recognized even though it's not the right speed. And looks like the temps are pretty good, 23, that looks pretty good. So we'll just head into advanced mode and take a look at the RAM speed. So there we go. Even though right here it says the status is 2133, right here it says the memory is DDR4 2666. I'll probably go, once everything is loaded up, I'll check in CPU-Z. I'm pretty sure they have RAM speeds there to make sure that it's all good, but right now everything looks good. I'll load up Windows. So, as you guys see behind me, the PC is booted up and I'm running the Unigine Heaven benchmark. I did encounter a few issues. The first one, not really an issue, but more of just something that was a pain. The CPU cooler fan mount was just weird. Instead of normally having these, you guys probably know the brackets that you install, which is relatively easy and quick, they had these anti-vibration pieces of plastic that you stick through the fan and then you mount onto the cooler. The top two were fairly easy, those are right in front of you. But getting in those little corners underneath the fan, underneath the cooler, by the RAM, even with my skinny fingers, I don't have any sausage fingers or anything, it was just impossible to mount. I wasn't able to mount all of them. I only got 3 out of the 4 mounts secured, so basically my fan isn't fully mounted. But the CPU stays under 85 Celsius, so for all that I care, it's perfectly fine, and it looks perfectly fine. The second issue was that I was unable to install the OS on the main Adata drive that I got, but I did have a spare Samsung NVMe drive. Luckily enough, I was able to get it on there. When I looked up the issue, I wasn't very clear. There weren't any error codes. Basically, when I was booting the system up, it gave me 2 partitions, which was 1, my Adata SSD, and 2, the hard drive that I had installed. When I tried to log in, it just gave me a choice for which partition I wanted to use, but whenever I attempted to boot off the Adata SSD, it wasn't going anywhere. It basically was just stuck in a boot loop. It gave me an error, and solving it really didn't do anything. Well, my attempts to solve it really didn't do anything. And I just put in, as I said, that extra Samsung SSD, and then I reinstalled Windows onto it, and it booted up normally. Now it's without any issues. Now, granted, the speeds aren't exactly of the Adata SSD, but it's still a great SSD. The boot times are under 10 seconds. So again, for all my purposes, it's beyond fine, and I do get extra storage. In Fortnite, the FPS only ever dipped during dropping, and mostly in the end game where all the structures around me got really hectic since you were just able to respawn, drop down, and continue building. For Battlefield 5, the FPS was very stable, and as you can see, it never dipped below 68, and honestly most of the time it felt like it was over 100. For CSGO, I think the Mr. Electrical benchmark pushes the system far past what will actually happen in game, so during games I saw that it was never dipping below 200, and the reason for the lower dips in the benchmark was mainly just going through smokes, looking through mollies, and just the added amount of effects. For Apex Legends, the FPS chart is kind of deceiving, because the only time the game actually was dipping below 144 frames per second was during firefights, and when the game did drop, it was still over 100 most of the time, and it still felt buttery smooth, and I had no issues with stuttering or lag. So that is it guys, thanks for watching, it's good to be back again of course, but now I actually do have a few videos lined up, so definitely stay tuned. They'll be coming out, I think I might have one by the end of this month, and definitely a lot more videos coming in the next few months. I'm not going to be posting 4 times a year like I usually do. But of course, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I'm Dany from DK Tech signing off. You're finishing this video. Peace out.